Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Mandetbrote Secret Orbital Automatic Blue. This watch is available from Mandetbrote.com for $479 which is €407. This watch is available in a plethora of colour options. Of the colour options, I think this blue version is the best looking. So firstly, let's look at the watch roll that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the specifications of the piece. So the watch comes in this black PU leather or vinyl watch roll, flawless stitching around the perimeter, nice matte sheen to the grained PU leather or vinyl, two stainless steel poppers securing the flap, and the interior is fully upholstered to a good standard with black velour fabric in a suede effect. There are two stainless steel poppers on the left and right hand flanks of the padded pillow cushion, and they snap together into the internal body of the watch roll. So the padded pillow cushion is upholstered to a good standard with black velour fabric in a suede effect, and the two stainless steel poppers are well executed. Snaps together very well, and Mandetbrote deserve credit here because as a low tier micro brand they could have taken the less expensive default option of just using a plastic or cardboard watch box at this price point, €407. But this is better and I like it. The only thing I would like to see is they could enhance it further by embossing the Mandetbrote text logo on the front of the flap, but it is better than a plastic or cardboard watch box. With regards to items that come with the piece, one just gets one item, which is this cardboard warranty card. On the front, it invites you to follow them using the hashtag mandetbrotewatches.com on Instagram and Facebook. Also has the website mandetbrote.com, and it says welcome to join the Mandetbrote family. On the reverse, it details the terms and conditions of the 2-year international warranty. Again, I want to give due credit to Mandetbrote here because often low-tier micro brands only cover their watches with a 12-month international warranty. To get 2 years of international warranty is excellent and they deserve full credit for that. The only item that's absent, and I would like to see Mandetbrote include, is an owner's instruction manual, either in the form of a printed booklet with clear concise diagrams and instructions in English detailing the operation of the movement use, which is the modified Miyota Caliber 9015 automatic. Alternatively, a card with a QR code that could be scanned with an Android or iPhone to download the owner's instruction manual. That really is mandatory at this price point in the low tier, €407. But good to see the warranty card included and good to see 2 years of warranty versus 12 months. So with regards to the specifications of the piece, we have a 41.2mm case diameter, we have a lug-to-lug measurement of 47.8mm, a thickness of 13.4mm and a lug width of 20mm. The genuine leather strap, which is navy blue, tapers from 20mm at the lugs down to the 2-button push deploying clasp. What I like about this 2-button push deploying clasp is there are no production cost cutting measures, flawless mirror polishing to the top side, underside and flanks, and they have signed it. It's not sterile, it's engraved with the Mandetbrote text logo to a good standard with high definition engraving. Correctly proportioned, nice curvature to the internals and suitable for a 6 to 7 inch wrist and a 7 to 8 inch wrist respectively. The 2-button push triggers are heavily sprung loaded, they feel reliable and robust, no sharp edges, no burrs, they've been mirror polished to a good standard and they don't project too far from the left and the right hand flanks of the leather strap. Two keepers on the leather strap, first one is fixed, second one slides as one would expect, again correctly proportioned. Flawless stitching to the blue stitching around the edge of the strap. It is a padded strap so it is thick but it's surprisingly soft and supple, so this indicates it's made from high quality calf leather. And although it's a thick padded strap, it does taper down in thickness, so it's thicker at the spring bar end where it needs to be reinforced for daily wear and tear, and then it gradually tapers down in thickness from the spring bar end down to the deployant end. There are plenty of holes in it to fine tune the length, so to clarify, this will fit from a minimum 6 inch wrist size up to a maximum 8 inch wrist size, and I've adjusted it to fit my 8 inch wrist and you can see there are still 2 spare holes. So it is a good length of strap for all wrist sizes. I really like that it's soft and supple despite being a padded strap, and it's got a nice matte finish. They've made a correct decision here by making it navy blue but also matte finish rather than glossy finish. A glossy leather strap would really suit a dress piece better, but for a daily wear piece like this a matte finish is more appropriate, and I really like the colour of it. It matches the navy blue dial very well, which has a guilloche pattern to it. So we have a boxed double dome sapphire crystal with clear AR coating on the underside, and the clear anti-reflective coating does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the boxed top hat crystal. The box top hat crystal gives it a vintage aesthetic. It is a tall profile to it, but it doesn't add too much thickness. This piece is still only 13.4, which is very impressive, bearing in mind it uses a exhibition case back glazed with sapphire crystal. That does add some thickness, and of course the box top hat crystal adds significant thickness, but it is a wearable 13.4, which is a pleasant surprise. It is necessary to have that clearance to use a high profile to the boxed double dome sapphire crystal, because as you can see, this Secret Orbital automatic is a modified 9015, so they've had to mount this minute hand, which also moves around the inner orbital register as well as the outer orbital register. That does add some thickness to the piece. It adds some height to the hand stack height on the cannon pinion, so it is necessary to provide extra clearance. They couldn't have used a flat sapphire crystal. That wouldn't have provided enough clearance above the cannon pinion and the orbital minute hand. Dial execution on this piece is fantastic. Often on these style of watches, modified pieces using Miyota calibers such as the 9015, the legibility is poor, the functionality is poor. So the problem is it's difficult to read the time. They do look aesthetically pleasing and artistic, but the problem is often they are difficult to actually use to read the time. This Secret Orbital automatic does not have that problem because it's a very well thought through design. We've got a contrasting orange arrowhead tip, as you can see, to the orbital minute hand, and the benefit of that is it's very easy to see where it's pointing to. So to clarify how to read the time, I'm just going to move it to 12 o'clock. Right, so if you look at the lower scale, which rotates rather like a date wheel, it's fully lumed with BGW9 and it has contrasting blue Arabic numerals. So we're now at 12 o'clock and you can see the large 1 and 2 for 12 o'clock. The orange orbital minute hand is now pointing at 0. That indicates 0. So the outer orbital ring is for the minutes. So we go 5, 10, 15, and then it moves into the inner orbital ring, which is from 20, 25, 30, 35, and then 40. And then it moves back out to the outer orbital ring at 45 minutes to 50 to 55 and back to 0. So we're now on 12 o'clock because we've got the 12 Arabic numerals on the lower scale. And at the top, the contrasting orange arrowhead orbital minute hand is pointing at 0. So it's now moving to 12:05, 12:10, 12:15, and then you can see when it gets to 15 minutes on the outer orbital ring, it then moves into the inner orbital ring to 20. So we're now at 12:20, 12:25, 12:30, 12:35, 12:40. Once it gets to 40 minutes, it then moves back out to the outer orbital ring. We're now at 12:45, 12:50, 12:55, and then we're coming up to 1 o'clock. So back on 0, and you can see on the lowest scale we've got the large blue skeletonized font of 1 for 1 o'clock. So it's now on 1 o'clock. It's intuitive. It's actually surprisingly easy to become accustomed to, and you very quickly become accustomed to looking at the orange contrasting arrowhead tip for the minutes, both on the outer ring and the inner ring for the orbital, and then you also get accustomed to looking at the lower portion of the dial with a cutout for the lower ring, which is for the hours. And the legibility of both the singles and the double Arabic numerals, which are skeletonized fonts, are very legible against the BGW9 background, which is white. So it works very well. And in between the large Arabic numerals on the lower scale for the hours, we've got 30 minutes. So for example, 6, and then 6:30, and then 7 and 7:30. So it works very well because when it gets to 30 minutes, you can just look in between the 7 and 8, for example, for the 30. It is intuitive and it's surprisingly easy to read. And as I've detailed, these kind of artistic designs, they're sometimes very difficult to read. The legibility and the functionality is poor. They look nice as a work of art, but the problem is in terms of reading the time, it's actually difficult. But this is easy to read. And I like the contrasting orange arrowhead tip because that is very easy to look at and it contrasts very well with the Guilloche dial in navy blue, and also the circles with the Arabic numerals 0, 5, 10 and so on. The legibility is very good. The length of the orbital minute hand extends all the way to the circles, which are infilled with BGW9, and therefore it's very easy to see where the pointer of the arrowhead is pointing to for the minutes. And regardless of whether it's on the inner orbital scale or the outer orbital ring, it's very easy to read. The proportions of the Arabic numerals on the lower scale for the hours are also correct. They're large enough to read, both in daylight and also when we do the Lume test, I'll show you in the dark. The legibility is fantastic. Now, in terms of the mechanics of it, Mandetbrote deserve credit here because they've done a fantastic job of modifying a Miyota 9015. The 9000 series of Miyota movements are premium grade. They're a level above the 8000 series such as the 8215, and they could have used the production cost cutting measure of an 8215, but they didn't. They used the more expensive option, which is the 9015, which is a date complication version of the 9039, but what they've done is they've deleted the date complication. There's no date wheel, and therefore there's no phantom date setting position. That's the benefit. It's excellent. The gears are well finished, and also the quality of the machining to the orbital arm, which drives the orange contrasting arrowhead tip for the orbital minute hand, they're finished very well, and the gears are very well cut. The meshing of the gearing is good, so mechanically the tolerances are very good. It's also very aesthetically pleasing to see the exposed gears from the cannon pinion to the orbital arm driving the orbital minute hand, as you can see. And I really like the way it rotates on the inner ring and then moves out to the outer ring and then back into the inner orbital ring again. It's just fantastic to look at. It adds interest to the piece. It's artistic, it's aesthetically pleasing, but technically excellent as well because it's very smooth. And the legibility is good, but also it's very aesthetically pleasing to look at. And I really like it. I think they've done a fantastic job. Quality of the guilloche dial finishing is fantastic, and the quality of the execution of the printing of the indices, which are applied for the circle dots for the minutes, and they're infilled with high definition BGW9, but we've also got the blue Arabic numerals contrasting very well. So the font is good, the legibility is good, even on the inner orbital ring where the Arabic numerals are reduced in proportion, the legibility is still good. They've got the quality of the printing of the blue Arabic numerals both on the orbital rings and also on the lower hour scale. Excellent. It's not too thick and blurry, the font is sharp, it's crisp, it's high definition. And they've made the correct decision by not branding the dial with automatic or Mandetbrote, for example. That would have spoiled it because this guilloche dial is beautifully detailed, and the clarity of the boxed top hat double dome sapphire crystal with AR coating does a very good job of showing it off. But had they printed Mandetbrote across it, it would have made it look like a low tier Chinese made AliExpress watch. This is a low tier piece. It's between €0 and €500 price point, to clarify. At €407 it is at the upper end of the low tier. But this does not look like a low tier piece. It looks like a mid tier piece between €500 and €5,000 respectively. For example, looking at this piece, one couldn't immediately say this is made in China. It looks rather like a Swiss made piece because we don't have Mandetbrote's text logo printed across the dial, which would have spoiled it. This looks minimalist. It almost looks Art Deco in style with the guilloche finishing to it, and I think they've made the correct decision by not branding the dial. It's very aesthetically pleasing, looks clean, looks minimalist, functionality is good, legibility is good, clarity is good, and it is easy to read the time. For example, we're now on 3 o'clock, 3 Arabic numeral is large, and the arrowhead tip is pointing to the 0 for 0 minutes. So it works well. Right, so let's look at the strap in detail. So this strap is genuine leather, it's padded as I've detailed, tapers from 20mm at the lugs down to 18mm at the 2-button push deployment. Very soft and supple, it's high quality. This isn't going to require any breaking in. It doesn't feel like a low quality leather strap which is stiff. This really feels like a soft and supple strap made by, I would say, Hawing shell cordovan leather, or alternatively a Hirsch strap made from calf leather, and it really does have that soft supple feel, so it's a good quality padded leather strap, and I like the way it tapers down in thickness and also tapers down from 20 to 18. So 2-button push deployment clasp, well finished, mirror polishing, opens freely, and credit where credit's due. They've done a fantastic job for the mirror polishing. Flawless mirror polishing to the top side, underside and flanks, no sharp edges to the top edge or the lower edge of the curvature, and as you can see the mirror polishing is absolutely flawless. Even on the underside we've got it engraved with stainless steel, and the mirror polishing is excellent. No roughness, no sharp edges, doesn't scratch the wrist. Let's check the hinge pins. Left hand outer hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, but we do have some slight play. Left hand inner hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, but we do have some slight play. Right hand inner hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, we do have some slight play. Right hand outer hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink. There is some slight play. Play is acceptable. They could tighten up the tolerances to make the riveted pins a interference fit, so friction fit, but it articulates freely. It is handed. You do need to close the right hand portion of the deployant first, and then the left hand portion overlaps. So you have to close it right first and then left. The deployant itself, the outer section, is correctly proportioned. It's not too thick and bulky, and the 2-button push triggers are correctly proportioned. They don't stick too proud from the right and the left-hand flanks. Nice heavy spring-loaded action, opens freely, and I like it. The curvature is good for a smaller wrist of 6 to 7 inches and a larger wrist of 7 to 8. It's a good quality deployant, and the thing I like about it is it gives the piece a higher grade feeling than just using a buckle and tang, which would of course reduce production costs and therefore maximise profit margin per piece. Nice to see a deployant used at this price point, and it snaps shut with a nice positive click with the right hand portion. Left hand portion clicks over with a nice positive click, and the end of the strap engages with the 2 keep as well. So it looks good, feels good, well finished. No sharp edges to it, flawless mirror polishing, engraving is also good. Let's look at the case back in detail. So, screw down exhibition case back provides an effective hermetic seal to 50 metres, which is perfectly acceptable for a daily wear piece. This is impressive. They could have again cut production costs in order to maximise profit margin per piece and simply used the pressed on case back with 50 metres. That would have been acceptable for a daily wear piece. Screw down case back provides a more effective hermetic seal. It's engraved with the specification and the reference number for the piece, and also that it's a limited edition. So to clarify, each Secret Orbital automatic, regardless of the colour, they are limited edition numbers of 500 pieces. This is number 103 of 500, and the case back is engraved with 103, indicating 103 of 500. So it's a limited edition of 500. Low profile, that's the benefit of using a 9015. If you look at the centre section, which is glazed with sapphire crystal, you can see it's not a deep bubble back profile to the case back. Nice flat glazing to it. The benefit of using sapphire crystal glazing and a large diameter portion of it is it's very smooth and comfortable against the wrist, rather than using a stainless steel case back which is engraved with sharp or rough engraving. This stainless steel glazing is very smooth. So it's flat profile in the centre. It's not a deep bubble back case back, which is good. And I really like the 9015 because if you look at the bridges, you can see they have milled stripes, rather like Côtes du Genève or Geneva stripes. And again, Mandetbrote haven't cut production costs by just using the standard sterile Miyota 9015 rotor. They've signed it with Mandetbrote and Japan Automatic. That does add a high quality feel to it, so it's good they've signed it with a logo rather than it just being the Miyota sterile rotor. And I like the milled stripes on the bridge of the 9015. The finishing is a level above the 8000 series, such as the 8215. This really is a very good movement to look at. And in terms of quality level, the finishing, I would regard it as equal quality finishing to a Sellita SW200-1 or an ETA 2824-2. The 9000 series are premium grade. The 9015 is one of my personal favourites, as you'll know. Stainless steel portion is concentric CNC lathe tool machined, and the milled slots are deburred and chamfered very well, so no sharp edges to the milled slots. It is low profile, and I think it's excellent that they've used an exhibition case back. They could have cut production costs and just used a sterile stainless steel case back, but this does add interest to the piece, and again it makes it more like a high quality mid-tier piece from €500 to €5,000. Quick release stainless steel spring bars used in the strap. Just bear with me, I'm going to actually open the deployants because I'll do a better job of showing you off the case back, but also the underside of the strap. So underside of the genuine leather strap has a cream liner which contrasts well. Stainless steel quick release spring bars, contrasting white stitching on the underside. Nice and smooth, feels comfortable. 2 keepers, flawless stitching, but we've got one fixed keep and one sliding keeper, which is correct. And the other side has embossed genuine leather. And as you can see, the stitching on the underside contrasts because it's cream stitching on the underside to match the liner. On the top side, it is blue stitching to match the top side. Very soft and supple. I really like the quality of the strap, and it's good to see quick release spring bars. That negates the need for a spring bar tool in order to exchange the strap for an alternative. The underside to the head of the piece is finished to perfection. Concentric CNC lathe tool machining to it, and it's got a deep undercut to it, which is good because this reduces the meat of the head of the piece. This piece is only 79 grams, which is a pleasant surprise because it is 41.2 diameter. That's the kind of heft I would expect with a 39mm. A 41 would usually be over 100 grams. To get 79 grams with a 41mm size is excellent. So what we're looking at here is correct decision after correct decision, because this large reduction in the meat of the flanks, as you can see, they've cut away the undercuts to the flanks. It benefits the comfort level and the feel-good factor, but also reduces a lot of the meat from the case. And you can see the case back is low profile. It's not a deep bubble back case back, but the undercut to the case with concentric CNC lathe tool machining, they've reduced a lot of the meat. And this really does enhance the comfort level of this piece because it is 13.4 thick, which is good, but it's only 79 grams versus being 100 grams. So it feels lightweight as a result. Curved profile is aesthetically pleasing. Visually it looks good because they've reduced the depth or the height of the flanks. As you can see, vertical brush satin finishing on the flanks adds interest. It refracts the light and gives it a beautiful luster, but also visually it makes the head of the piece look thinner than it is. So it's very well designed, very well machined. I really like it. Good case shape, good curved profile to the lugs, rather like Art Deco styling. Nice large mirror polished bevels which mark the transition between the top of the lugs and the vertical brush satin finish flanks. Quality of the finishing to the head of this piece is stellar. To put this into perspective, this is the kind of case finishing, bezel finishing and case back finishing I would expect to see on a mid-tier piece between €500 and €5,000. This is a low tier piece, but we are at the upper end of the low tier, €0 to €500. This is 407. As I've detailed in my previous reviews, with low tier pieces, the first area of case finishing I look at, which is often a production cost cutting measure, is in between the lugs, because often low tier Chinese brands will use the production cost cutting measure of just milling in between the lugs. They do not brush satin finish or mirror polish in between the lugs to the same standard as the top of the lugs, the flanks, the bezel and the case back, but Mandetbrote deserve credit here because the quality of the vertical brush satin finishing in between the lugs is stellar. It's the same quality of vertical brush satin finishing in between the lugs as on the flanks to the case. As you can see, same luster, same fine grained satin finishing, fantastic finishing on the head of the piece throughout. So just bear with me, I'll do back up the deployant. So easy to adjust the deployant. As you can see, it opens with a flip lock. Just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus on it and I'll show you in detail. So rather than using a buckle and tang, we've got this flip lock which is on the deployant mechanism, and you've got this spigot, or one could say tang, and it engages very well with the holes in the straps. Just bear with me, I'll put it on position 3, which is the correct size for my wrist. And it's easy to adjust, it slides very well. You simply engage the tang into the hole and then it snaps shut with a nice positive click, and that locks the flip lock onto the strap in the desired position. So just bear with me, I'll engage it again. There we are. So it snaps shut, and this is good because it locks the flip lock of the deployant into the hole, so it's not accidentally going to come undone, and therefore you can close it very quickly. Rather like a buckle and tang, you simply snap shut the right hand portion, overlap the left hand portion, and it's solid, doesn't come undone. It's a good deployant clasp, easy to adjust, easy to size, finishing is good. Right, so let's test the push-pull crown execution. So we've got a coin edge finish, solid 316L grade stainless steel crown, concentric CNC lathe tool machined. It is sterile. I'm not going to be critical of this because it would have been difficult to engrave Mandetbrote. Mandetbrote is a long text brand name, and there's not really enough space in diameter to engrave Mandetbrote. They could have engraved an M as an emblem for Mandetbrote, for example, but due to the font they're using, it wouldn't have been very aesthetically pleasing because it looks rather like Arial font in capitals versus Garamond font used by Rolex, for example, which is heavily serified. So Garamond font would look more aesthetically pleasing, but of course engraving an M in Arial would have actually cheapened the look of the watch. So on this occasion I'm not going to be critical of it having a sterile crown, unsigned, because the concentric CNC lathe tool machining does have a beautiful luster to it. It refracts the light rather than reflecting it like a mirror, and it is very well finished. Nice large chamfer which deletes the sharp tips to the coin edge teeth, coarse profiling to the coin edge teeth, but it's good. the benefit is it's grippy and tactile. It's low profile, so when you flex the wrist, the crown doesn't feel too large and bulky and dig into the back of the hand. So that's the benefit, but it's large enough for a push-pull crown to be grippy and tactile. So as it's a push-pull crown, in the closed position, one can manually wind the modified Miyota Caliber 9015 automatic to its maximum 42-hour power reserve. Feels very smooth. Now, this is something I really like about the 9015. You'll know from my previous reviews, the 9015, which is the date version, and the 9039, which is the no date version, they are two of my personal favourite Miyota calibers. They are excellent, two of the greatest Miyota calibers ever made. The reason why I say that is because of the reliability, the accuracy, the build quality, quality control, finishing and materials. They are equal quality to the SW200-1 or the ETA 2824-2. They are premium Miyota calibers. The thing I like about the 9015 is the smoothness of it. When you're manually winding it, it doesn't feel rough or gritty. It feels smoother to manually wind than the Seiko NH35A or NH38. Also feels smoother than an SW200-1 and smoother than an ETA 2824-2. One can feel the refinement, the smoothness, the meshing of the gearing, the machining, the tolerances. It feels like a premium caliber. So it feels very smooth to manually wind, and I like the gradual build up of the tension in the mainspring. One can feel it gradually building up to 42 hours of power reserve. Feels very pleasant to manually wind. I really like the refinement, the smoothness of it. So, pulling it out to the first click position is the final click. Now, this may come as a surprise to you because, as you'll know from my previous reviews, the Miyota 9015 automatic is a date complication movement. This does not have a dates wheel. Mandetbrote have modified it. They've deleted the date complication. So they've deleted the date wheel. There is no dates wheel beneath the dial. And therefore, they've also deleted the phantom date setting position. So this is a benefit because if you're a collector that doesn't like phantom date setting positions, 2 clicks on the crown for a no date piece, this doesn't have it, so that's good. There is no phantom date. There's only 1 click on the crown. Pulling it out to the first click is the final click, and we're now in the time setting position. Of course, the negative of this being a modified 9015 with the Orbital minute hand is there is no second hand mounted on the Canon pinion. It's not possible to have a second hand on top of the Canon pinion because you can see the gearing on the Orbital hour arm Orbital minute arm drives the arrowhead tip. So it's not possible to set a second hand on top of the Canon pinion. They've modified the Canon pinion to take the 2 gears plus the Orbital arm driving the Orbital minute hand. It's acceptable, but I like that there's no phantom date setting position. Now in terms of setting the time, it feels really smooth. Minimal backplay, and I really like it because when you rotate the coin edge crown, there's an almost immediate response to the contrasting orange arrowhead tip to the Orbital minute hand, as you can see. But it doesn't have to take up a lot of slack. It feels nice and tight. The meshing of the gearing feels nice and tight. It feels refined. If I had to choose one word to describe this modified 9015, it would be refinement. It feels fantastic. The meshing in the gearing on the Orbital arm is nice and tight. There isn't a lot of slack in the gears. And it really feels good. It feels smooth, both clockwise and anti-clockwise. When it cycles through the outer orbital circle or ring and the inner orbital circle or ring, it feels smooth. Doesn't get stiff, so it doesn't get tighter or looser. That's the point. It feels smooth all the way around the 360 degrees of rotation, both on the outer orbital ring and the inner orbital ring. Both clockwise and anti-clockwise feels exactly the same. It feels smooth and it also has a medium resistance. It doesn't feel too light or too heavy. The gearing meshes very well. They've done a very good job of cutting the gears, and the finishing to the gearing with CNC lathe tool machining is stellar. So quality of their brushed satin finishing to the orbital arm is good. Quality of the gearing is good. Even the flathead screws securing the inner gear to the Canon pinion, they are very well finished. And also the hand itself, the silver portion of it is mirror polished, and they've done a very good job of the orange paint around the edge of the Orbital arrowhead tip. So looks good, works well, feels very good to set the time. Smoothness of the lower disc for the hours is also smooth, and the symmetry is good. The proportions are good. The alignment is correct because the Arabic numerals, which are skeletonized fonts, they are not too large and not too undersized, and they're not too far to the top or the lower portion of the cutout in the dial. They're just right. So they've got the proportions correct, and also the time setting refined. Feels fantastic. They've done a very good job of modifying this caliber. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click, and that restarts the movement. So it does have hand winding, it does have hacking, although you can't see the hacking on the front because there is no second hand, but it does have hacking like the standard 9015, which it's based upon. Feels good to manually wind. Setting the time feels good. Manually winding feels good. I like everything about it. Right, so I'll give you wrist shots and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now I've adjusted the strap, and as you can see I've put it in position 3, which suits my 8-inch wrist. So it's handed. You have to close the right hand portion first, snap shut with a nice positive click, and then the left hand portion overlaps, clicks on top of it, and as you can see I can just engage the end of the leather strap. Just bear with me, it's fiddly to do with a pair of gloves, and I'll just move the second keeper on top of it so you can see. Right, so I can just engage the end of the leather strap in the two keepers, the first fixed keeper and the second sliding keeper. So 8 inches is the maximum wrist size. It will support if you want to engage the strap in the end, but I do have 2 spare holes. So enough holes in the strap to size it down to a minimum 6-inch wrist size up to a maximum 8-inch wrist size. This strap is very comfortable. Feels like a Hirsch calf leather strap, or alternatively a Horween shell cordovan strap. It feels like high grade calf leather. So nice navy blue tone to it. I like it's matte rather than being glossy. The guilloche dial in navy blue is very aesthetically pleasing. AR coating works well. Clarity is good. Legibility is good. Now, 13mm is the sweet spot. You'll know this from my previous reviews. Regardless of whether you have a 6 to 7 inch wrist or a 7 to 8 inch wrist respectively, 13 will easily slip underneath the shirt cuff. So at 13.4, it's just a fraction above the 13mm perfect sweet spot. This will still just slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts. Practical daily wear piece. 41.2 does give nice wrist presence, but visually it actually looks and feels smaller because it's got this deep undercut to the curved lugs and case, as you can see. This actually visually reduces the thickness of the flanks, so although it does have a box top hat crystal, it actually looks lower profile than it is. It looks lower profile than 13.4, and although it's 41.2 diameter, it wears more like a 40mm, so it's deceptive. The lack of heft also makes it feel thinner and lighter. So this is only 79 grams, and as I've detailed, with a 41mm head of the piece, I would expect this to be circa 100 grams on a leather strap, but it's not. It's only 79 grams. It feels weightless on wrist. This feels invisible, and that's the most pleasant surprise about it. It looks low profile, feels low profile, but the other thing is, although it does have wrist presence, it doesn't dominate the wrist. So even if you have a smaller 6 to 7 inch wrist, you'll enjoy the wrist presence of 41.2, but it doesn't look too large. Doesn't also look too thick because it's got the very slender, low profile to the flanks. That large undercut, as you can see, the very deep undercut, it reduces a lot of meat, so it doesn't look slab-sided, and therefore it doesn't look tall. It doesn't sit on top of the wrist like a thick slab of 316L grade stainless steel. Curved profile to the lugs, they wrap around the wrist very well. They pull the end of the genuine leather strap very snug to the wrist. We don't have a large gap beneath the tips of the lugs. They are touching the wrist, as you can see. Proportions and case shape are fantastic. 47.8 is very close to the perfect sweet spot of 48. It's only 0.2mm shorter than the sweet spot. So 47.8 is good for all wrist sizes. 20mm is the correct lug width, and the 20 to 18 is a nice taper for the strap. The point is correctly proportioned. It's not too thick and bulky, not too wide. Mirror polishing is good, engraving is good. I like it as an alternative to the buckle and tang, gives the piece a high quality feel. So comfort level is good, feel good factor is good, legibility is good, one can easily read the time. Box top hat crystal gives it a vintage aesthetic, rather like an acrylic crystal from the 1960s. I like everything about it. Guilloche dial is beautiful. Orange arrowhead tip adds interest to the piece but also improves the legibility, and everything about it is good. Navy blue tone is good. The fact it's not branded with Mandetbrote text across at 12 o'clock on the dial, that gives it a high tier level finish, or alternatively mid tier level finish. It doesn't look like a low tier Chinese made watch, and that's what I like about it. They haven't branded the dial with automatic or the water resistance rating, unnecessary information. It's a sterile dial, and they haven't even branded with Mandetbrote, so it does look like a mid-tier or a high-tier piece as a result. This is a very artistic piece, very aesthetically pleasing. Guilloche dial is beautiful, legibility is fantastic. I like everything about it. Looks good, feels good, comfortable, lacks heft at only 79 grams, and 13.4 isn't too thick, even though it has an exhibition case back, which adds some thickness, and even though it has a box top hat crystal, which again adds thickness. Good looking piece. Right, so let's do a Lume test and we'll see how the Lume performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to the absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. This is stellar performance. This is a low tier microband, and often low tier microbrands making their watches in China have a tendency to reduce production costs in order to maximize profit margin per piece. And one area they reduce production costs is the Lume. So they will apply 2 to 3 layers on the dial and 3 to 4 layers on the hands, for example, in order to cut production costs per piece and therefore maximize profit margin per piece. Mandetbrote deserve full credit here, because you can see we are clearly looking at 5 to 6 layers on the circle dots for the minutes on the outer orbital ring and the inner orbital ring. Also, the lower portion, the disc for the hours, is clearly legible. You can see the blue Arabic numerals contrast very well for the hours, and the disc, or the wheel, for the hours in the lower portion is fully lumed with BGW9. Also, the orbital minute hand, which has a contrasting orange arrowhead tip, is fully lumed with 5 to 6 layers. So just bear with me, I'm going to charge it up once again to get the camera to autofocus on it. This is clearly BGW9, and we're looking at 5 to 6 layers of it, which is the industry standard, so no cost-cutting measures. Right, so that's now fully charged again. Legibility is excellent. Now just bear with me, I'm going to cycle through the minute hand, the orbital hand, on the outer and the inner orbital, and I'm going to rotate the lower disc or wheel for the hours, so you can see how it looks with the double and the single Arabic numerals in the dark. Legibility is good. You can clearly see the arrowhead tip to the orbital minute hand cycling through the inner and the outer orbital rings, so that works well. Contrasts very well with the blue guilloche dial. And also, if you look at the lower disc or the lower wheel for the hours, you can see the single and the double Arabic numerals are also clearly legible in the dark. This is fantastic. And often with these kind of artistic or modified pieces, the legibility, the actual functionality, both in daylight and the dark, is poor. And of course, that's compounded by the cost-cutting measure of 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 layers of BGW9 or C3. But this is good because you can clearly read the time in the dark. And I think they deserve credit because they've done a very good job of applying 5 to 6 layers. So in daylight, the BGW9 matches, it's white, it doesn't look cream. And in the dark, it matches. It's the same blue tone on the orbital minute hand, the lower disc for the hours, and also the printed dots, circles for the minutes. So they've done a very good job of the printing. Right, so let's discuss the movement use because it's my favourite aspect of the piece. I want to give due credit to Mandetbrote here because with a mid-tier piece between €500 and €5,000, it would not be impressive to see a premium grade of Miyota caliber used, such as the 9015. As I've detailed, they could have used the production cost-cutting measure of an 8000 series Miyota caliber, such as the 8215, and modified that. But this doesn't use an 8000 series, this is a 9000 series, the 9015, so it's more expensive movement. It's better quality. Build quality, quality control, materials and finishing are better. They've also signed the rotor, so no cost-cutting measures whatsoever. Using a modified 9015 at this price point is impressive, but it's also the correct choice. It has 24 joules, it runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. Has hand winding and hacking, which are useful complications, but of course, looking at the front of the piece, you can't see it hacks because there is no second hand on the cannon pinion, but you can see it hacks because if you look at the balance wheel, when you pull out the crown to set the time, it does hack. This does have a date complication, but they have deleted it, which again, correct decision, because we do not have a date wheel. They've deleted the phantom date setting position, which is good. The benefit is there is one click on the crown, not two. No phantom date setting position, simply one click to hack the movement and set the time. Very good modification. Stated accuracy of the 9015 is -10 to +30 seconds per day, so rather wide accuracy range. However, I'm pleased to report that Mandetbrote are doing a very good job of regulating the modified 9015s they're using. This one is running consistently at plus 2 seconds per day, which is fantastic accuracy. Plus 2 is actually within chronometer grade accuracy of -4 to +6. And it's nothing unusual to have plus 2 seconds per day when you regulate a 9015 in 5 positions. It can easily attain chronometer accuracy. So to put this into perspective, as I've detailed, this is equal quality to a Sellita SW200-1 or an ETA 2824-2. That is the level of quality, build quality, quality control, finishing and materials we're looking at. The 9015 is one of my personal favourites. It's one of the greatest Miyota calibers ever made. Reliability is fantastic. It's a reliable, well-proven workhorse Japanese caliber. It's been in service since 2009, so at this stage, in 2025, its reliability is proven beyond question. No negatives to it whatsoever. It's accurate, it's reliable, it's well finished. The materials are good, build quality are good. Quality control is stellar. So correct choice. And again, Mandetbrote deserve credit because they could have used a less expensive caliber such as the 8215 and modified that. That would have done the job. 9015 is higher grade. It's the kind of movement one sees microbrands use at the €500 plus price point in the mid-tier. This is a low-tier piece, although it is at the upper end of the low tier at 407. Fantastic. The other thing I like is they've glazed the exhibition case back with sapphire crystal, and they could have used mineral crystal because strictly speaking, sapphire crystal isn't needed in an exhibition case back. Unlike the front of a piece, the sapphire crystal in the exhibition case back, it's not prone to being scuffed and scratched with daily wear, it's just rubbing against the wrist. So mineral crystal is often used as a production cost cutting measure by microbrands, but this doesn't. It has sapphire crystal in the front, sapphire crystal in the back. Fantastic. So excellent movements, no negatives to it whatsoever, correct choice at this price point. So last I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So low tier piece, we're at the upper end of the low tier, €407. I'm going to declare it excellent quality and I'm going to declare it excellent value at €407. This is a fantastic piece throughout. Quality of the finishing to the bezel, head of the piece, case back are stellar. To clarify, this is mid-tier level finishing throughout. Mid-tier is €500 to €5,000 price point. This is a low-tier piece at 407. AR coating is outstanding. BGW9 is stellar performance. Push-pull crown is well finished. The modified 9015 is a delight to look at with the Orbital minute hand, as you can see. But in terms of the guilloche dial execution, it's stellar. The point clasp is well finished. Exhibition case back is well finished. This piece is unusual. There are no negatives to it whatsoever. And when I look at a piece in the low tier at €407 price point, it's very unusual for me not to find a negative or a QC issue, something that needs refinement. Subjectively, or being very critical, one could say, well, the slight play in the hinge pins needs tightening up to an interference friction fit, but it's okay. We're not looking at a sloppy deployment with 4 hinge pins which are loose. They are okay, but they could refine it. But that really is the only negative subjectively to this piece. It's fantastic. So I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Mandetbrote Secret Orbital Automatic Blue. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.